Hello. This week is No Time Like the Past, which is a sort of time-traveling episode, I suppose, but it's very fatalistic, that you are unable to change the past. He makes 3 primary attempts to change history. He goes first to Hiroshima, just before the bomb, and luckily runs into a police officer that speaks English very, very well. Oh well. That didn't work out, so he goes to Germany to try to assassinate Hitler. This has stock footage of Hitler. They didn't use an actor for the part. Is that Goering next to him? I'm not sure. Anyway, he gets interrupted by a hotel maid. Now, if you are on a schedule, which he is, he has a very limited window of opportunity, he would go, I'm not decent, come back in 3 minutes. You know? Or I am busy, come back in 3 minutes. Or come back in an hour, whatever. And then he could take his shot and be done with it. But he fails to do that. The ship that he visits on his third try, the Lusitania. It was one of the instigating incidents of the US joining the First World War, and that's something that we don't. It's not part of our general cultural consciousness anymore. You have to look it up, or you have to be a history buff or something in order to know that. It's not a thing. We don't recall it like we do the Titanic. We talked about that before, that a lot of these episodes, they show their age by things that people might have remembered then, but certainly don't remember now. I mean, we know Hiroshima, we know Hitler, but the Lusitania, it's gone, right? So, when he travels back to Homeville, they have a strange exchange where they say that history is inviolable. You cannot change it, right? Inviolate even, but that any single change can lead to consequences we don't understand. Like, it's either or, right? Either history will self-correct and steer itself back on course, not allowing you to change it, or butterfly wings, chaos theory, you do a tiny bit of change and everything changes. The sort of fatalism in this episode, the idea of everything has to happen the way it's supposed to happen, is in stark. I mean, it happens in a few other episodes as well, but it's also in stark contrast to things like The Sound of Thunder in the 80s episode, where tiny change changes everything. He goes back to Homeville anyway, and he's walking around. I think it's Robert Heinlein who wrote Job, and in Job they talk about how difficult it is to obtain money when you time travel. He seems to not have a problem with that. Gets room and board everywhere he goes. I don't know how he gets the money, but he meets these 2 women and they pass by as he's standing by the diner, and when they have passed, then he tips his hat. There's no way they can see it, so he was a bit late doing that. I think it looks weird, to be honest. I would have liked it to be more gracious. Anyway. The episode sort of ends in this brilliant little action scene where there's a runaway cart and there's a driver and there's a passenger getting in the way. And I mean, first of all, if you look closely, the stuntman in front of the cart is nowhere near the cart. He's on in front of the cart. He's off to the side. The stuntman actually gets his foot caught in the rain. I can't imagine how dangerous that would have been. If you look at it frame by frame, you can see that it's on his foot, and he managed to disentangle himself in the air. The cart is also turning so that when the stuntman jumps off, the cart has already begun to turn, so it won't drive over him on the ground. And then there's the lantern toss. This looks like a wire shot. I'm not exactly sure. They could also just have someone behind the cart just tossing the lantern. It doesn't look very ballistic, but it goes and it hits the door. And I think it's the first take because there's no mark on the door when it hits it, but there's a mark on the door afterwards. So, and then there's a spectacular blaze and everything like that. It's a lovely episode. I don't particularly like this sort of fatalism, the Cassandra complex, as it were. But next week we're going to get to the parallel, which is one of the more sort of spooky sci-fi episodes. And I'm looking forward to see you then. Take care now.